And welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where quite frankly, we need to have a conversation. We need to have a full discussion here about what on earth has happened with the Nico Williams situation. How have we all today gotten the news that he has renewed with Athletic Club? I think we all need to understand how all of this has unfolded. How has it been allowed to happen here? From, I think, everybody's point of view, there's a lot of emotions going around right now. In today's video, it's just going to be us all laying it on the line. You know, let's discuss exactly how we feel, and also the important point here, what happens next? Where do we go from here? What is the plan on the left side from the club? It is all on the way. Get yourselves ready. And let's do this. Because indeed, guys, of course the big news, the massive news of the day right here is that Nico has indeed decided, seemingly overnight, to renew his contract with Athletic Club. And he hasn't just renewed, it's for 10 years. He has signed a decade-long deal. And again, not only that either, not only has he pledged the next 10 years of his career, taking him right up until his mid-30s there, he has also now increased his release clause by at least 50%, Athletic Club say. So that could be there nearly reaching 100 million euros. And I think the big question, you know, the massive question that we all have right now is how? How did this happen? And it literally feels as though it was overnight. We have heard day upon day upon day, and it's not just from one person in the media here. It wasn't just one person that believed, okay, this deal is going to happen to Barca. It was widespread reporting. The word from not only the media, but also inside of the club at Barca. They thought they had this deal done. They thought they had the full approval of Nico Williams. Yes, there has been a few things over the past few days to iron out. There have been a few things in the negotiations that needed to be solved. But Barca never expected this. And let's really hammer home that point here. They found out by Athletic Club's statement. You know, they weren't informed at any time before this. Okay, Nico, he's moving away from the club. He's changing his mind. He might indeed stay. There was never, ever any sign of that. Barca, when they saw this statement that Nico had renewed at Athletic, they were probably just as shocked as we were, if not more. Barca right now, apparently, are furious. They are genuinely so angry inside of the club. And I also do have to say, guys, I believe some of that anger there, some of that frustration, it will also be because of our own actions. I think inside of the club here, there will be frustration that we kind of allowed this to happen, that we kind of opened the door again to a player who did this last summer. Because I think that's the driving frustration amongst all of us fans right now. This is a player who last season, he had us all on strings. You know, we were all waiting for his yes, for his no, for him to make up his mind all the way through the summer. And in the end, he thought, okay, I'm going to stay at Athletic Club. Now, we heard back then from the club that this Barca train, it only arrives at the station once. Once you turn it down, once you miss that train, it leaves and it doesn't come back. Now, admittedly, heading into this summer, it looked as though that would be the case. It looked as though Barca were not going to go back for Nico Williams. In fact, Joan Laporta, he was very much against it. You know, he took a lot of convincing this summer to actually go ahead and say, okay, we will try again. And the reason why, and I think we can't forget this, the reason why Barca changed their mind, they weren't looking at Nico. They were not considering Nico. They were looking at other targets. The only reason they changed their mind was because of the player himself. He made a point this summer to come to us. He wanted to set up a meeting there with Deco to tell us, I want to come. I regret last summer. Now, how have you gone from regretting not being part of this team, watching on last season when this club did incredible things, when Athletic did nothing? They got destroyed by a relegation battling Manchester United team. And I mean destroyed in their own stadium. That is embarrassing. And yet, despite all of that now, despite being deep in negotiations this time around, seemingly rebuilding those bridges, now we're at a situation whereby he stayed. And like I say, Barca didn't expect that. But not only Barca, apparently, even Athletic Club, they're a little bit surprised. Now, on this, I've got to say, guys, I'm a bit dubious. How surprised are Athletic Club? Because you will hear right now from their media, oh, we didn't know this was coming. Nico shocked us all. Nico, we thought he was going to Barca. Kind of to make it seem as though he wasn't trying to get more money. He wasn't using the interest of Barca here to bump up that Athletic Club offer. Because can I just say, you don't draw up a 10-year contract in 10 minutes. You don't just turn up this morning if you're Nico and say, actually, I'm going to sign a 10-year deal. Let's get that sorted. This is something that would have taken time to draw up. It would have been negotiated to quite a big degree. So I don't know here if it's such a big surprise to Athletic as we're being led to believe. And that's why Barca right now, they feel played. They feel used. And not only used in this summer transfer window, it was the same last summer, and we have allowed this to happen again. But like I say, Nico approached us. So I guess the question here in hindsight would be, should we have taken him up on that meeting? Because at the time, let's be honest, he was performing very, very well in the summer there for the Spanish national team. There was a lot of excitement from the fans again. Barca fans would have accepted him. They would have welcomed him. We were all excited again. We were willing to give Nico the benefit of the doubt that last summer, okay, there was a few doubts. It wasn't an easy summer. This summer was very, very different in our opinion. We were willing to back him, to welcome him to this club. And that is also why it hurts for us too. We were openly welcoming this guy with open arms to the club again, even despite last summer, even despite all of the messing around. And this is how we are repaid. This is what we get for that. And I've got to say, guys, it stings. And I do feel a little bit foolish, a little bit stupid, I've got to be honest, because I think it did feel quite different this time around. I did think that Barca are in such a better position financially that maybe the deal should have been easier. But then again, that brings about the whole question then, the whole excuse, in my opinion, of registrations. Because certainly now, I've got no doubt at all, you will hear from Nico Williams' side of things, his camp, his agent, and all the people surrounding their club, that, Nico, he didn't just reject Barca, but he did it because he wasn't really sure about the registration. He didn't use the club, he did maybe want to join, but he was very, very concerned there about whether he would be registered. Now, in my opinion, that is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense here to say, you're not going to join, you're going to sign a 10-year renewal because you suddenly found out that Barca, may not be able to immediately register you, for example. He knew that. He knew our situation when he arrived at our door this summer. And don't forget, July has just started. The summer transfer window is realistically only just begun. We're a few days in, really, to the new financial year here at the club. And Nico now is thinking, there's no way I'm going to be registered. I'm panicking here. I'm not being registered. The season is miles away at this point. There's so much time here for Barca. And that is why I do not accept here this as an excuse. Do not excuse the fact that you may have just used the club. You may have had no intention of actually joining or actually believing that you could make this move, because this really seems to me now, looking at last summer, looking at this summer, it's a player who from the outside was looking at Barca, regretting maybe that he wasn't part of this team, wanting in his head that, okay, I can go and play with Yamal, I can be part of this team, I believe that I can belong at that level, but actually, when it comes down to it, when he was just moments away, they're days away probably, from actually making this move possible, making it happen, in my opinion, he got scared. In my opinion, he has shied away from that moment. He has preferred to stay in his comfort zone. That is what it looks like here. Because to blame the fact about registrations, guarantees, all of that stuff, at the start of July, you're not even willing to wait a few days, a few moments here to make a dream move happen, to make a move to Barcelona. You're not willing to put trust and faith in the club. Because can I draw your attention to somebody like Dani Olmo, who coincidentally posted this on Instagram just moments there after Nico's decision to stay at Athletic was confirmed? Think about what he did. Think about a player there who genuinely wanted to be here. And not only wanted to come to Barca, but he believed that he belonged here. He believed that he could come here, play, be a part of this team, succeed in this team. And he wasn't going to let anything get in the way of that. There was registration concerns. Last summer was so much worse financially than this summer right here. And yet Olmo never ever wavered from that dream of his, from that belief that he could be a Barca player. And he made it happen because he wanted to do that above everything else. Now, in my opinion, Nico clearly didn't want it that bad. Nico clearly did not want to be here enough, did not have that belief inside him. And that is why right here and now, I'm frustrated. I'm angry that we've wasted time on him. I'm angry here that it's another summer that's gone by where we've been played, we've been used, we've been made to look the fool in the whole footballing world. I don't like that. But in terms of him as a player, there are other people out there. There will always be other players out there. There will always be more quality out there for Barca. And in the end, who has actually missed out more? Nico Williams can stay at Athletic Club. He can fight for top 4, top 5. He can play maybe in the Europa League, he can play in the Champions League for a few games there in the league phase. But genuinely here, look at what we have as a club, look at the project that we have, look at the players that we have, look at what we achieved last season compared to what he's been experiencing at his club. Who has lost out more? We as a club will always attract players who want to be here, players who will give everything. They will wait every moment they have to make this move happen. If that wasn't to be him, if he didn't have that inner self-belief, that patience, that trust in the club, ultimately in the end, we didn't want you here anyway. Yes, of course we were excited if he did want to make the move, if he was, somebody that we could count on and rely on, but in the end, he hasn't proved to be that guy. He hasn't proved to be the man who was going to come in here, take up the mantle, be a player to arrive on the big stage. In the end, the lights were too bright. The stage was too big. And Nico Williams will remain at Athletic Club. However, like I say, guys, yes, we have wasted time. Yes, there have been weeks here where Barca may have been looking at the wrong guy, may have been chasing something that was never really going to happen. We don't know. But either way, we have to try and move on from that now. We have to put that behind us. And the club should already be thinking of their next move. We all know this summer that Hansi Flick, he wants a left winger. He wants to strengthen that side of the team, that area of the team. He wants depth, he wants quality. And the question now will be, where do Barca go from here? How do they move on from Nico Williams? And to be honest, it may not be that tricky, given that all of this time there have been other targets out there. We know all about Luiz Diaz. We know the club, and there have been many people within the club who would have rather gone down that road anyway. Somebody who is still waiting for Barca. He has rejected their advances from Bayern. Of course, Liverpool's stance right now remains that Luiz Diaz is not for sale, but Barca, no doubt, will be exploring that possibility. It's one of the options. There's also somebody there like Rafael Leao, which seems to me like the kind of signing whereby it could happen. In my mind, it's one of those that has been lingering there now for quite some time. We've heard swap deals rumoured in the media. We've heard, of course, a lot of links between Joan Laporta, Rafael Leao. Big fan of him is he. And Laporta, of course, so key in all of these things. He could be the driving force behind something if he wants it enough. There are top quality players out there available. There are players out there that Barca are more than capable of signing. And of course, you also have players like Marcus Rashford. Now, that is a name that is certainly now going to gain more and more prominence. I don't think there would have been anybody more delighted today to see that Nico is staying at Athletic than Marcus Rashford. He is waiting for Barca's call. He is somebody who does dream of playing here, who is willing to make every sacrifice in the book to put on a Barca shirt, as many players would. And he remains an option for the club, whether it is the first option, whether he is the player who will come in and be the left-wing signing, or he will be an additional signing. We will have to wait and see. But the point here is that Barca have a great squad. We have an incredible project. We are a massive club. And we can get players. We can bring players in. We can strengthen this squad. There are still so many players out there who can improve our team for the coming season. We don't need to worry about Nico. Like I say, it's frustrating. I think we're all a little bit embarrassed by this situation, that we have done this now for 2 summers in a row. But let's move on. Let's put that behind us there. The chapter has closed. The door now, believe me, it is well and truly shut, and it's not opening. The train is never coming back to that station. Close the station. Shut it down. It is done. But guys, please do let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts right now? What are your thoughts on this entire situation, the way that it is unfolded here from start to finish? What do you make of Nico's final call to stay at Athletic Club for 10 years? Can you believe that? And what should Barca do next, in your opinion? What should we do at left wing? Do we need to bring somebody in? Who would you sign? Would you sign anyone? Let me know in the comments down below with everything you are feeling right now, and I will see you soon. We will be talking more. Of course we will. But thank you indeed, guys, for the great support, for joining me here today. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça.